Down here in the street in Chippendale, looking back to the development, which has been going for some years now. As you can see in the distance, the joining of the two communities by the park leads straight back through here into Chippendale. Lawyers. I discussed with her about the Chippendale project and what the concerns from the community's point of view were, because she was part of the Chippendale Residents Committee. And I asked her a few different questions on how they felt they came out of it in the end. And it was actually good because I wanted to know what they felt. And I asked them, did the local government, meaning Sydney City Council, or the state government listen to any of their areas? And she felt that they did get some sort of relatively good feedback, but in general her thought was it was a veneer. I thought that was a very interesting word, because she said they covered a lot of things, but they still got through what they really wanted. Been improved. Was the DA process efficient? And again, she said there was a DA process that was efficient, but a lot of things that we really wanted to get out of this, we really didn't get. And our biggest concerns were that it pushed all the traffic back into Chippendale itself. There was going to be a lot more students in the area rather than residents. It was higher than the 4-story limit that had been there. It seemed to be that it was quite an area of concern for them still. But they said it's not going to change. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. I've just been into NG Art and just having a bit of a discussion with the girls in there about some of the retail impact that's been had by the development. They feel that the development itself has brought through a lot of people they probably wouldn't have got in this area, mainly Chinese background. However, it does point to that there was some offloading or washing over of particular people that do come by this area. A lot of the focus as well was about the heritage on the site. They didn't want to lose that that feeling heritage buildings give an area. They wanted that incorporated so that the area of Chippendale itself, which is quite an old precinct, could still have as part of it the CUB or the CUB buildings, to which they have done. And I did ask Susan Bauer, actually, I did ask her about her thoughts on that. And she felt that the heritage stuff does look pretty good. And it has sort of, it's endearing. One of the things that I did ask her was how was the media in this whole issue? Did they play it fairly? And she said her words were, it wasn't one-dimensional. They found that it was pretty predictable, and it was as though all those things were covered. And you had two sides to it. You had the lefty side, which was the South Sydney Herald, but then you had the Sydney Morning Herald that had some really good articles that were probably more to the point, and they weren't as one-sided as, say, something like the South Sydney Herald. She felt that was a really lefty paper, and she tried to have her point of view was that she wanted to be fair. It wasn't just about us as a community. So I thought that was pretty important. One of the groups that was pretty vocal right through it was the Coalition Chippendale Community Group. And that had a number of sort of people that were quite interested, and I've tried to contact them just to see their feeling on it. One was Michael Irving and Jeanette Brockman and Lindsay Charles. and of course Simon Flynn from Bowflow Action Group, which is the early one of Australand. But there were some things that really quite upset them, and they felt that one of those was the exhibition times. They always found that exhibitions of anything they were showing was always between times that was very difficult for people to get to, 12 to 4:30, so that early word that I used, veneer, was coming on with all this stuff. There was always a veneer, so it looked like we were doing things, and yes, they're inviting us as a community to be part of it, but they never quite really had it so it could be for the people to turn up and be involved in these things. To suggest and propose improvements to the planning and DA process as a assigned stakeholder, meaning the community, I really don't know how much more they could have done. I mean, this process took some years. It may never have happened had the state government not stepped in. So they did adjust floor space ratios. They did adjust heights. They set the buildings back. They had massive solar panels. They turned it to a green environment. They really changed the face of the entrance to Sydney, I guess.